Okay. So I want to talk about impact. I kind of put this in the terms of KPI, or key performance indicators. Also notice my fonts got all screwed up, so imagine this is beautiful typography. First I want to take you through basically who Bluecadet is. This is Bluecadet, so a bunch of people. We're up on Fishtown, Frankfurt Avenue. We do a lot of events. We have a gallery there that we do monthly things. Come on and see us. I'm pointing in the wrong direction. But that's the space. Again, stop by. But this is basically the sort of things that we do. So everything from touch screens to apps to interactive environmental projections. That one actually worked with Rick on Clip. Mobile, basically a big range of digital artistic products. So here you see. And we work almost entirely, I guess, in that STEAM area. So we work with a lot of museums, cultural institutions, higher education. These are the clients we really love working with. It's kind of it aligns to our personal interests. And we worked with actually over 30 cultural institutions here in Philadelphia. And we win a lot of awards, which is all well and good. And actually, it's kind of a little bit of what I wanted to kind of root this talk in. Is, how do you know if any of these projects are actually successful? We know whether they look good, and sometimes that's enough. We know if they win awards, sometimes that's enough. But I wanted to think about some other ways we can sort of plan for success and sort of frame success in a different way. KPI. So as we've evolved as an agency, we've sort of started hanging out with more business and agency folks, and they actually speak a very different language than we first did. We spoke a very artistic language. So a key performance indicator is basically a measurable value. And excuse me this. But basically, it's sort of like a goal, but it's like a measurable goal, or some goal that requires a little bit of evaluation. And what I found is, as we've sort of entered into these projects, really getting to the goal and also setting some benchmarks has been super valuable for us. So this is kind of our process. There is a lot of prototyping and testing and things that go along the way. Karen will recognize this as our Karen student. And a lot of what I'm talking about in terms of determining goals and KPIs really happens in that first phase, where we're doing discovery and we're really trying to figure out, well, what should this thing be? What does success look like? And how can we really ensure success for this project? So I kind of try to break down KPIs in some different ways. So there's the analytic. Okay, so this is what we can measure. It's if you got Google Analytics or any sort of app analytics program, you can get good numbers. So it shows dwell time, repeat visitors, increased traffic. And a lot of times when we're setting out our goals, we're okay, if it's a website, if it's a campaign, we need that's something we want to look for. We want to see that this thing is actually getting used, that we're seeing good numbers. Engagement. So this is okay, you can drive tons of people to this product. But are they actually engaging with it? What's the click path? Are they purchasing? Are they donating? Are they sharing? Are they behaving in a way that you want them to behave? And is it converting, in a way that benefits the organization, that kind of works for you? Educational. So, if you're doing a piece, which is an in-gallery touchscreen, there's things that you want to deliver. There's the actual information and experience of that content that you want to convey. And so you'll see as we kind of move down the list, it goes a little bit from the very kind of quantifiable to sort of the qualifiable, and from what you can get with metrics and to what you get with evaluation. Experiential, this is just the feeling of it. Is it fun? Is it collaborative? Is it nostalgic? Is it revelatory? Do you have emotion? I mean, a lot of the stuff that Rick produced the clip, I feel, has a ton of experience to it. And that's something that you can really target for. And sometimes there's points in a project where you don't know what to value, whether it's just the pure experience and how it makes you feel, or the information. So some of these things you just sort of need to prioritize. And then the artistic, again, sort of pushing the medium, innovation, just trying things that have never been done before. There's sort of PR and benefits for this as well. But this is another thing that can be something that you can set out to do at the outset. And then what I call the extrinsic, which is awards, press, the acclaim of your superiors, peers, mothers. How interesting you are at a dinner party. But but some of this is like also, these are things that happen. Sometimes they also can actually meet key business goals, and sometimes not. So it's something that I want to talk about a little bit. So I want to take this sort of first of all, so like why do we care about this? So if you don't really set out with like real goals and measurable goals, you can be running really hard, you can be working really hard, you can be like not seeing your family and missing meals, and you might be running far, but in the absolute wrong direction. So you end up somewhere with this product, with this thing that, and maybe you even won an award for it. Maybe people really still think you're awesome, but like, maybe it didn't really actually meet your actual intention. So that's something, that we care about, as a studio, because, we're working with cultural institutions that don't always have a tremendous amount of resources, so we want to make sure that they're kind of well spent. So I wanted to kind of take this in through a couple different projects. Karen, who is our project manager on the Franklin Institute sites here, she was a wonderful project manager. This was a very successful project. And this is for the Franklin Institute. So this is a website redesign for the Franklin Institute. So this is sort of a more internal thing. So when we're thinking about KPIs, they needed more repeat visitors. So that was something that was analytic. They needed a better user experience, which sort of engagement. More mobile users, which also could be analytic. And better visual representation of the museum, which was a little bit more experiential. Like they needed their site to kind of feel like a museum. So it was a cohesive experience. You felt that when you went from the site and you went to the museum, they're like, okay, it's delivering exactly what we need. And then, so the results of this: page views went up 33%, page sessions went up 52%, session duration went up 73%, bounce rate went down 30%, and returning visitors went up 52%, and mobile use went up 75%. So we can sit there and then we won a bunch of awards. So that's all. But the thing is, I'll be completely honest. There was a time in our company history when we were starting out that bottom line is all I cared about. And it was like what my mother thought, and like my family and friends, and that. But the more and more, we're really trying to look at these things and really see, okay, are we actually moving the needle for these organizations? I'm not that much like a possible. You can turn out the line. That's all right. So this is a project we did for the Field Museum. This is a 60-inch multi-user Sue the T-Rex puzzle. It's in their permanent installation, so if you go to the Field Museum in Chicago, it's on exhibit. So, what were we doing here? Like, this is not a website, so it's a little bit different. So what are the KPIs? They wanted something that was a group activity. They wanted to basically make sure this could be used by 1 to 3 users. So that, as we were basically planning the experience, that's something we really had to pay attention to. So that's sort of experiential. They needed to activate what was basically a dead space. The area is actually very similar to the size of the stage. It kind of looks out over top of the main hall in the Field Museum, and all they had was Sue's jaw there. And they really wanted to activate it, add some energy. Oh, I thought I had more time. Okay, moving on. They wanted to be fun and visually engaging. They wanted a new way of engaging with the content. And so then working with our evaluators, we kind of came up with these metrics. Visitation to space went up 60% with adults, 35% children. 50% smiled or laughed when they were in groups. 84% completed the puzzle. And the average dwell time was 2 to 3 minutes, which is actually very, very good for in-gallery media. It means that they're doing more than just slapping at it and trying to figure out how it works and seeing if they can break it and walking away. And we won a bunch of very wonderful awards. Chemical Heritage Foundation. Shelley here in the front row can tell you much, much more about this project in a much better way. But this is a project, we can turn it on down a little bit here. So this is actually a full game working with the Chemical Heritage Foundation and using real chemistry to teach kids about chemistry. And it's built in sort of like a tiny tower model where you're kind of building achievements and you're learning. We worked with a lot of game consultants. We worked on this for a very long time. This is takes days to finish. But it was a really, really cool project. And also all these experiments they're all real. The smoke, the colors, the sounds required a lot of attention to detail. Screaming dinosaurs here. And so the KPIs for this. So first, we needed to teach chemistry through play. So there was an educational component that was incredibly important. So it meant we couldn't fake it. So we knew at the very beginning that there was no like Dexter laboratory, green slime, you don't get a nuclear reactor. This had to be real chemistry. So that was a real challenge. Then also they really wanted to make sure that this actually made an impact. So downloads were important. Monthly and daily active users were also important. They wanted to make sure that this wasn't a PR stunt. They weren't just trying to put it out there. They wanted people to actually use this. And they basically wanted a new way of engaging with STEM content. So that was sort of an artistic thing that also was kind of cool. And so the KPIs for this, it's received almost 500,000 downloads, 447,000 downloads. Last month we averaged about 400 new users a day. This came out about a year ago. It has 1,400 daily users and over 21,000 monthly active users. So for an institution here, it's a wonderful, wonderful museum, but it's really received a global reach. It was actually the #1 educational lab in 6 countries. So it's pretty cool. And they won a bunch of awards. So I just, kind of talking about KPIs, one thing I also just wanted to note, so this was actually, we just did a project for the JFK Memorial Library up in Boston. 3 minutes, oh God. One of the things is if traffic or like downloads is like a big push, you have to think of this as not just designing a product, but also existing within a larger communication push. So, we designed, advertisements for bus stops, and we built a website. It's really, these things have to sit inside of like sort of a larger communication strategy. So that whole field of dreams, if you build it, they will come. Sometimes they'll come, sometimes not. And then a note on like the extrinsic rewards, awards, press, things. Sometimes this can be very, very important. It can actually be really useful for an organization. Or it can be a lot of hype and a lot of distraction, and it can validate things that are not actually completely useful. So just take it with a grain of salt. Look for both sides of that. And also a note on ROI. So this is like return on investment. So again, you basically, these are 2 different takes of the Hulk in popular culture. One, obviously, they spent a lot more money on. Although Lou Ferrigno worked out really hard, much more so than Mark Ruffalo. But again, it's sometimes it's worth making grand statements. Sometimes it's worth really investing to get a great product out. But again, it's something that's worth talking about. We're all super DIY, but sometimes it's worth really kind of swinging for the fences to get like a really great result. So KPI benefits: ensures you meet your real business goals, focuses your team's efforts, and produces products that are not only award-winning but successful. Thank you.